author, motivational speaker, Anupam Kher is one of Bollywood's most talented actors who has also successfully forayed into Hollywood. Tragedy or comedy, Anupam has aced both with Elan and won several awards. What distinguishes Anupam from the average Bollywood success story is his slow and steady, rather than a meteoric rise from a very humble background to the status most aspiring and several working actors also can only dream of. Such a story, with all its ups and downs, its attendant pains and thrills, is the absolute stuff that writing books is made of. When you write honestly and from a space of pain, writing can be the greatest catharsis. A process that both the actor and the writer in you, Anupam, is well acquainted with. I would like to start off by asking you, how have the two artistic outpourings of writing and acting worked for you as cathartic influences? And what has the difference been between, the world of acting and the world of writing for you?
Thank you, Vinita. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. Thank you. I must first acknowledge that I'm an admirer of your work, the kind of work that you have done, and the kind of books that you've written. So
Thank you so much.
primarily, I'm not an author or a writer. I trained myself to be an actor, and for 30 years of my career, or 29 years, I've only concentrated on acting. Of course, I opened a school in between and things like that, which is still going. But writing was something which I wanted to express what I feel as a person. Um, so all the three books that I have written, the first book, Best Thing About You Is You, was my first book, which was written in 2011, was basically a collage of my articles that I used to write for Deccan Chronicle. It was more about what I feel about life, how to empower yourself, etc. So the second book, which came in fact after 6 years, was my autobiography, Lessons Life Taught Me Unknowingly, which where I put, even though it's my autobiography, but I basically concentrated on my failures. So, and I think in Hindi, I don't think in English. So for me to write books in English, it needs courage, and it also needs a certain amount of thought process. Communication in English is possible because you don't have to sort of formulate a certain kind of sentences. So all the three books are an extension of what I have felt. It's basically, you can call them life coaching books, you can call them self-help books, or you can call them, at least they have made me the person that I am. And I hope that the readers also feel that they can identify with what I'm going through.
Yes.
Uh, but writing books have been more cathartic, because when I'm playing a character in a film, that character is that person. It's not me, even though I am manifesting it into my through my emotions, through my acting capabilities. But when I'm writing the books that I'm and the kind of books that I'm writing, it is my direct connection with the readers. There is no fake quality about my books. In my acting, there can be a possible, because I'm pretending to go through pain. I'm pretending to go through happiness. I'm pretending to be a miser. I'm pretending to be an angry man. But as an author, I am not pretending at all. I am only writing, and that's the only way I can write. I will never be able to maybe write a novel or something like that. I may write a script because it will help me in the films because of my background of films. But this is the kind of book, the book that I wrote during pandemic, Your Best Days Today. I felt the urge to write it.
Yeah.
I felt the need to write it. Not My last book came in 2019, so there was no way that I was thinking of writing another book. But this is my truest form of self-expression and my journey through pandemic.
Yes. I think all three of your books have really come from a place where there is that need for an outpouring, and you just did it instinctively. It has possibly not been one of your aims in life to write, it just came about. And I
Absolutely.
think you put that beautifully, saying that when you emote on screen, and the catharsis is the catharsis of the character that you're playing, whereas the catharsis in the books is your own.
Absolutely.
Did you find it a difficult process to put down your thoughts on paper? Because even for people like us who write every day, sometimes it's very difficult to translate a thought into writing.
So I took a path which I borrowed from me as an actor. When I'm going through a difficult speech or a difficult paragraph or a difficult um, emotion, I write them down. Suppose I
Mhm.
have a scene that has longer lines, about 10, 20, 50 lines, or it's a soliloquy or something like that. I'm finding it difficult to remember those lines. What I do is I write them down, or
Okay.
I'll keep on speaking about it. I'll keep on saying it. I'll keep on saying it again and again.
Yeah.
I use the same process as a writer. I
Mm.
speak my thoughts into a dictaphone.
Okay.
I don't write
Mm.
because it's easy for, because I can't, I'm not disciplined writer. I don't sit from, say, I'll sit from 9 in the morning till 12 in the afternoon, and it will not happen because I'm not trained like that. So what I'll do is I keep, nowadays that you have a tape recording device in the phone itself. So I'll
Yeah.
just, in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll get up because the thought will come into my mind.
Yes.
So I write it, I speak into the dictaphone first, and then I get it transcribed by somebody, and then I try and sort of make it some kind of a sense out of these books. Then it takes a book form. So it's more of a conversation that I'm having with myself. That's why it's an easy read. People say these are books. Are basically what they're trying to say is it's a simply written books, and that's why they identify with it, because it can be your thought process. It can be somebody who is reading this thought process.
Yeah.
So I go through that process, and then I have wonderful publishers. My publisher Ashok Chopra of Hay House Publishing House is fantastic. He's my friend since I was 19 and met him in Delhi, in Chandigarh. He knows me. He knows me as a person. So then he adds his own dimension to it. He personally edits my book, and
Mm.
he gives it a certain form. Also, the size of the book he decides. So I have a help from him, but I there's a chapter that I wrote in this latest book. We'll talk about it. I'll
Yes.
come to that a little later.
But the thoughts are all yours. And even the fact that, this is something a lot of authors do, because a thought or an idea can just come and go.
Yeah,
And it's very important to write it down or speak it
yeah.
into a dictaphone. That's a very interesting technique that you use, because a lot of authors do that all the time. And it helps because you
Yep.
go back to that, and then you are able to write it in a better manner. And of
And
course,
I tell the person who transcribes it, just type it the way I have spoken about it.
yeah,
And I see that there are thoughts up and down, but the topic is the same.
yeah.
So when I write it, it's then it takes a little form. Then my knowledge of drama, my knowledge of Western literature, my knowledge of Russian literature. I used to read a lot 7 8 years back. I used to read. I mastered uh, Russian literature. I'm very fond of Russian
Wow.
literature. Yeah, Grotowski or Dostoevsky or Chekhov or Solzhenitsyn. All these authors have great. I don't read much of science fiction or science books, but whether it's Arthur Miller, whether it's I read from lowest of Mayapuri to Time magazine. I used to read everything.
They say
That helps when I formulate
yeah,
the sentences.
the more
Yes.
you read, the better writer you will always be.
It has
That's
helped me in my acting also. It has helped me because reading helps you as an actor. When you read a paragraph, on
mm-hmm.
a dark wintry night, this man with a collar up was walking on the streets. The
Wow.
roads were wet. He stood under a lamp post, took out a packet of cigarette,
Yeah.
tried to light it, and then opened it. Now I've described it to you. Uh, your
I can
wintry night
visualize
will be
it.
different.
Yes.
My wintry night will be
Yes.
different.
Yes.
Your man is standing under the lamppost, but you moment you put it on two-dimension screen,
Mm.
it will be Anupam
Yes.
Kher or
Yes.
Paresh Rawal
Yes.
standing, and there will be Film City or something like that. So that is how it helped me my imagination as an actor.
Mm.
Oh my God, the books, the Chekhov's stories, Roald Dahl stories,
Mm.
Arthur Miller's plays, that amazing visual sense it gives. So that
Wow.
it has helped
Yeah.
me as an actor, as a person, and as a writer. So
Okay. Okay.
somehow when I put it together, it comes, oh my, yeah, this was a good sentence I made. This
Mm.
was a good thought that I had. And then I add an element of writer into my books.
Yes. That's a very interesting insight. Such a nice circle between reading, writing, acting, and the passion that you infuse into all of it. I think your writing of Your Best Day Is Today, your book, which is now, of course, already a bestseller, was a very brave act. In the middle of all that angst, that helplessness, that hopelessness that we were all feeling, when there were a lot of people who were making videos of themselves washing utensils and washing clothes and cleaning their houses, you were sitting and dictating into your dictaphone thoughts and help trying to pep yourself up. And in the process, by writing the book, you pepped up so many other people who've gone through the book and told us all how to deal with the pandemic, which was something which was so unknown to us and so something that we could not handle.
I was basically trying to overcome my fear.
Hmm.
I
Did this
was,
help?
yeah, I was fearful when I came from uh, New York to Mumbai on the 20th of March this year, and finished abruptly my series that I was doing there, New Amsterdam. I had, when I landed in Mumbai, it was around 11:30 in the morning. I had never seen Mumbai airport the way it was. I had never seen the streets of Mumbai the way it was. It instilled a certain amount of, you see, the same atmosphere was there in New York, but New York, I don't know it, but
Yeah.
Mumbai I've stayed in for 39 years. I
Mm-hmm.
know it at like the back of my hand. I never felt like this. So there was a fear of the unknown. And then I came back home. Usually, I meet some friends who come downstairs. My domestic helps come. I can see their bright faces that they have seen me after 8 months or 4 months or 3 months, and they feel very happy. They show express. But over here, the two people, my domestic help, who I've known them for a long time, came with the masks. I could not make them from their eyes whether they're frightened to see me or they're happy to see me or they're
Yes.
fearful that, oh my God, a man has traveled for 16 hours. I hope he's not carrying any virus or something like that, which will make
Yeah.
social distance.
Yes. We were all scared of each other.
At
We are
that
still
time, it
scared
was
of each
too
other.
much.
Yeah.
And then my son opened this door so much, Sikandar, and
Mm.
gave me this elbow bump.
The
And
elbow
said,
bump.
he said, Dad, 14 days, please don't expect
Yeah.
me to venture out of my room or see you. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So suddenly I had this fear of the unknown. You see, when fear of something known, you know how to deal with it. Whether it is war, whether it is enemy, whether it is a disease, you know, etc., etc. You know somehow, even if you're fearful about it. But over here, I had never seen streets of Mumbai like that.
Yes.
So I said, ये तो मैं विल स्मिथ की फिल्म में देखता हूँ. I
Mm.
am legend. The world has come to an end, and he's only walking with his dog.
Yeah.
And I'm an eternal optimist. My career has been a result of my optimism rather than my talent, because I have always found situations, the worst situation in my life, and I'll say, oh, there is a silver lining in this. But over here, I was not finding any. Only after 2, 3 days, I said, now how do I find and feel better about it? And then I heard birds chirping out of my house. First time,
Yes. Yeah.
कोयल कूक रही थी.
Uh-huh.
और वो कूक रही थी और मैं वापस जवाब दे रहा. I was whistling back and she was whistling back. I had never done that.
Really. Yeah.
And when I looked up, I saw shades of blue in Mumbai sky. So I said, this is an indication that it's not so bad.
Mm.
But writing and speaking in the dictaphone was to drown my own fear in my words, whether they were spoken or whether they were written.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the need to do that. And then I said, what? So I started writing my journey and what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. And then some very dear friends, their death did not help at all.
Yeah.
Means whether it was Rishi Kapoor, with whom I had spent almost a year in New York when he was getting treated there. We had come very close. Otherwise, we meet work to work.
Yeah.
Irfan Khan,
Mm.
young, brilliant, dynamic actor. My yoga teacher's husband, who was
Tragedy.
my friend, also passed away.
Mm.
And not none of them passed away with COVID, but
Yes.
death worldwide was becoming
Yes.
a statistics rather than an emotion of sense of
And there
loss.
was a helplessness because you could not participate even in their ceremonies or go and pay your last respects to them.
No, not at all,
Yes.
because that is such a healing thing that
Yes.
you can't bring back the person who is gone, but at least when you meet the people, you give
Pay
them
your
a hug,
last
you sit
respects.
down.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it was not happening.
Mm.
Then my mother and my brother and my sister-in-law and their daughter, they got COVID positive.
Mhm.
So how could I deal with it? And I had never taken an off in 36 years of my career.
Yeah.
And I was morning till night, till morning, I was sitting alone. The only way I could do was to write it down, was
Yes.
to speak into
So,
it, was
so
to
it
feel
was
it.
a big help for you to
And
do this.
in my own sense, wanting to find what is good out of coming out of this COVID.
Yes.
And that's how the book came out.
Yeah. And the book is suffused with that positive spirit and that spirit of, like, telling people that, okay, things are bad, but something good will come of it.
I
And
also believe
I've
that.
read the book, and in one place you say, and I'll read it out, you say, an unseen virus, a virus that would soon unite humankind. It would test our patience, force us on a journey within, and along with it, bring about a sea of change. What
Absolutely.
changes have you seen in people, in your friends, your family, your fans, because of
First
COVID?
of all, I always start with myself that what are the changes that I am going to say. I used to feel that I'm a very restless person. My friends used to also say, Kiran used to also say that तुम कितना कुछ करना चाहते हो, इधर भी भागते रहते हो, उधर भी करते रहते हो,
Yes.
किताब भी लिखनी है, स्कूल भी चलाना है,
Mm.
कॉमेडी भी करनी है, ये भी करना है. I discovered that I'm not so restless. Though my restlessness has helped me in creating the work that I've created, it's very important to be restless.
Mm.
But I'm calm. That was a very, very soothing feeling for me.
Yes.
I discovered that we are always in a hurry to talk at people rather than talk to people.
Yeah.
I discovered that I I can express my emotions by listening also. I discovered the importance of pause in life. As an actor, I know what an important thing pause is. But as a person, I never thought how important a pause is. I went into meditation. I never used to believe in meditation. I used to say that living in life with people is meditation.
Yes, yeah. Mm.
I still feel that, a part of me still feels that meditation is about being able to live happily in the situations that you are around. But I understood the importance of breathing. हमेशा बार बार बोलते थे ना, अरे ब्रीद ब्रीद ब्रीद
Mm.
डीपली ब्रीद, उससे ठीक हो जाएगा. मतलब क्या ठीक हो
Breathe
जाएगा?
तो कर ही रहे हैं.
हाँ, ब्रीद तो कर ही रहे हैं.
Yeah.
But then I read something most fascinating. It's an amazing theory. You see, the concept of time, the concept of years, the concept of months, seconds, hours, this is man-made. 365 days should be there. January, February to December are there. 60 seconds makes 1 minute, 60 minutes make one. But before this was made by man or men or people, women, human beings, we are sent, according to me, by the number of breaths that we are supposed to have. The slower you breathe, the longer you live.
Wow.
That's what I discovered.
Okay.
Look at a dog. Dog lives
Mm.
only for 13, 14 years.
Mm.
Kachua, 400 years, 300 years. Hathi, longer time. So I understood the importance of breathing in my life. Then what changes I saw, that people discovered that communication is the most important thing. Reaching out to people is the most important thing. I had a 10th standard picture, black and white picture of my 59 students from my school,
Yes.
DAV Higher Secondary School in Shimla. I called out of those 59 students, I called up 38 people and reached out to them.
Wow.
I was talking to some of them after 50 years, 51 years. We were 14, 15 when we clicked that picture. They were unbelievably happy, and so was I. Means उन दिनों अभी भी शायद स्कूल में पूरा नाम लेते हैं, अनिल दत्ता, विजय पृथ्वी, सुमन
Mm.
तिवारी.
Mm. That's how the roll call is taken. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. That's, oh yeah, that's the reason.
Roll
Oh
call.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great discovery that you made. कि क्यों लेते हैं? आपने बोला, सही बोला
Mm.
कि roll call लेते हैं. So I reached out to them. There are so many people who discovered their own some talents because we were all running fast nowhere in our lives pre-COVID. We also discovered that we are not the only inhabitants of this planet. हमने अत्याचार कर रखा था, हमने तूफान मचा रखा था human beings ने by our greed. That there are other inhabitants. There are trees, plants, there are animals, there are birds. So we are passion towards one. Then also we had taken this COVID warriors for granted, doctors, municipal workers, and the police people, etc., etc. तो हमारा ध्यान अपने आप से हटकर we also started concentrating on other people also.
Mhm.
I had never, I used to hate the topic. In fact, that happens to you when you cross 55 or reach 60. You hate the topic of death among your friends. You don't want to talk about it because you think that now you are approaching towards a situation. My father was 84, so I have 24 years left, etc. So I used to hate talking about it. I saw so many deaths and so many news about it that it took away the fear of death out of me. That there's a topic of death about it. I never thought I will ever write it. I never thought that I will take a sabbatical from social media. I took a sabbatical from social media for, in fact, the last chapter is that because I wanted to write it for 20 days to feel it gave me such a sense of liberation. I
Mm,
felt so liberated.
mm.
It's like quitting smoking,
Yeah.
which I quit 10 years back or 8 years back. But getting rid of social media means आप देखते हैं ना कि मेरे कितने पॉजिटिव आए कितने मेरे लाइक्स आए कितने डिसलाइक्स आए it
It's addictive.
it's addictive. And
Yes.
for 20 days not to even look at my phone was so
Big
empowering.
discipline. Yes.
Was so there are so many things. And also I feel that the churning has happened.
Yeah.
अमृत मंथन जो बोला जाता था कि इस
Mhm.
churning में there will be poison also or there will be amrit also out.
Yes.
The world has gone through a churning.
Mm.
It will be a different place. It
Yes.
will be a better it you one can feel in your own self how
Mm.
much time have you spent in your house that it has given you a certain sense of calmness, even if we are going through insecurity, even if we are going through sense of uncertainty. All those things are there, but the fact that you have been able to deal with this 8, 9, 10 months and you still are doing this interview, that means it has you have understood your strength.
Yeah.
And that's what life is all about.
Mhm.
If you come closer to yourself, and that is how you will come closer to the world.
Yes. It brings about a certain balance and a certain a sthirta. Sthir ho jate hain,
हाँ, बिल्कुल
balance.
जी
Yes.
जी जी
So, there's a very beautiful sentence in your book, which I remember, where you've said, it is not always waiting for the storm to pass. Sometimes it is important to learn how to dance in the rain. I found
absolutely
that beautiful. So well said. And
yes.
so you learned to dance in the rain, and you're teaching all of us how to do.
I have always celebrated my failures. Means
Yes, that is that. Yes.
I never got my, yeah, in your introduction, you said that's what separates me from other people because
You
I,
talk honestly about it.
yeah, yeah,
Very
because
honestly.
that sort of takes away the fear of wanting to be somebody else. I
Yes.
don't like to pretend because people who pretend don't like themselves. I like myself from what I have done with my life.
Mm,
I'm a son of a forest department clerk from in Shimla
mm.
and lived in a small house with 14 people in it. But we were very happy there. One day I asked my grandfather, I said, Dadaji, we are very poor. Why are we happy? He said something brilliant. He said, Beta, when you are very poor, the cheapest luxury is happiness.
How beautiful. Yeah,
So
well
I
said.
have every time, it's not the person who is optimistic, does not go through depression, does not go through sadness, does not go, feel low, or does not indulge in self pity. Everybody does that. But then failure can be celebrated. My
Mm.
father used to say failure is an event, never a person.
Yes.
The event fails.
Mm,
Person does not fail unless he or she accepts its
mm.
situation. So the dancing of the in the rain is क्या होगा अभी क्या कर सकते हैं इस कोविड में हमने क्या कर लिया या तो हम बहुत ही नेगेटिव हो सकते थे या पॉजिटिव हो सकते थे
Mm,
आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग yoga all over again. I started concentrating on my body.
mm,
I started working out. It made me feel good about it.
mm.
And the productive thing of to be able to come out with a book
Yes.
in the pandemic, which you said
Mm.
is like dancing in the rain.
Yes. That is your dance in the rain.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah. So in this time we saw both aspects of humanity. We saw a certain coldness in people, where they were, the way we treated some of those who were infected with the virus, who tested COVID positive, and we, didn't allow them to come into their houses, their residences, their communities. And on the other hand, there has been this outpouring of sympathy and empathy and compassion. And you've spoken about both aspects in the book.
Yeah.
Do you feel that humanity has to pass through one to get to the other? Because I remember in your earlier book, I was flicking through that also, your book, The Best Thing About You Is You.
Yeah.
In this, you have spoken about, you emphasize on the extreme polarity in humans, the existence of those extremes. Like if there's goodness in us, there is badness in us.
Yes.
If there's positiveness, if there's positivity in us, there's negativity in us also. So do you think we have to go through the bad to come out good? Do we have to be unsympathetic to finally understand what sympathy is all about?
I'll have to think about this answer. I feel that we have to go through emotions optimistically and realistically and truthfully.
Yes.
When we run away from the emotions, whether you don't like somebody,
Yeah.
whether you then you pretend in front of that person, ये तो possible है नहीं कि everybody will like you.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
And
We have found faults in gods also.
mm,
Forget about human beings.
mm,
We there are section of people who criticize. So you at the end of it have to decide that these are the 7 8 people in my life who are honest to me and I'm honest to them. The rest of them are my work colleagues, etc., etc.
that is a very huge learning in life. That is a huge, huge learning.
It is, but it comes with going through bad times.
Through bad times, exactly.
You unfortunately have to go through those bad times to discover how to tell other people and tell yourself how to deal with those bad times.
Yes.
You see, on top of it, we are in a world of information age now.
Yeah.
And I think you're much younger than me, but I think you still have a sense of wonder because you are also pre-mobile phones era when you've
Yeah.
seen when people emotions and relationships were much much more important.
Mm.
I remember that when I used to shoot before this whole technology came in, we used to sit under. There was no makeup vans, there was no managers and PRs and secretaries and bodyguards. We used to be alone, and
Mm.
one assistant will help you. We used to sit under a tree and chat. We used to talk. That's why my friendship with Jackie Shroff, Mithun Chakravarti, Anil Kapoor, Sunny Deol, all these, Sri Devi is no more, and unfortunately, Madhuri, we interacted with each other. In today's time, what I was trying to tell you that information can be gathered from Google,
Mm.
but knowledge comes by living life.
Yes.
You
Exactly.
have to go through. At a
Mm.
very young age, a very dear friend of mine, I was 17. My friend Pavan Abrol, his name was. Uh, Thanks for in fact telling me why do we remember the full name? That
Yeah.
was because of the roll call. Yes, Pavan Abrol died, and I did not. That was the first dead body I had ever seen in my life, and he died of cancer. He was 16-year-old. He was a very dear friend of mine. But uh, that visual stayed with me, and every time in Bombay, Shimla, Lucknow, a dead body used to pass. Somehow it used to connect me to Pawan, and I did not know till my father passed away because then I had to deal with him. I was the elder son. I had to sort of go through the whole rituals, etc., etc. You have to go through the life and trauma and sadness to
Yes.
be able to come out of it.
Yes.
You cannot take shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, that's
but
that's why you talk about this in your earlier book, and that's where I picked it up from.
yes,
Um, do you subscribe to the notion that this corona perhaps is destiny, nature, God, call it what you will, is way of helping us balance out our lives? Do you
absolutely.
think it deliberately was sent?
एब्सोल्युटली मैंने वही तो कहा ना कि हमने उत्पात मचाया हुआ था हमारी
Mm,
ग्रीड जो
mm,
थी
mm, mm.
हमने हम एक हिसाब से वी हैड स्टार्टेड individually started thinking that I am the most powerful person. Power is about greed. Power is about power. Power is about this. We are sending now our people to Mars. Mars पे already colony बना रहे हैं. हम यहाँ पर ये कर रहे हैं. हमारी सेना जो है बहुत बड़ी worldwide. And the biggest nations, the most number one nations, Europe or America, they really got most impacted than other third world countries because somehow or the other third world countries have a sense of immunity because उनके पास सिस्टम ही नहीं है उनके पास ये पानी पीने के लिए ही नहीं है मैं
Mm.
नलके के पानी से पानी पीता था जब बॉम्बे में आके मैंने ये एरिएटेड दूसरा पानी पीना शुरू किया तब मेरी तबीयत खराब होनी शुरू हुई आदत ही नहीं थी so I
Mm.
think this and how could God or whosoever that superpower is how could he or she teach a lesson to the whole world by sending one small virus it's a learning that has happened on a world level.
Yeah.
Everybody has learned their lessons.
Mm.
It's maybe anybody who does not learn the lesson is some there is something wrong with the person. But I personally feel change is very silent. You don't know it happening then overnight. It will feel maybe the younger generation after 5 years, 10 years will talk about, oh, this is what happened.
Mm.
This is how the world has become different.
Yeah.
Negativity was becoming so rampant. You could only see nastiness, and bitchiness, if I have to use that word. The kind of negativity we went through it. To me, after 3 years or 5 years, being cool will be being honest. Being cool will be being compassionate. Being cool will be being straightforward, to be able to talk to other person, because we also understood kindness, as you very rightly said. That's a very 1% of population of the world which may have become cynical or
Yeah.
negative or whatever it is, or pessimistic. But 99% people all over the world uh, discovered that it is important to be human beings if we are supposed to be called human beings.
Yeah. And very interestingly, this also came through the negative feelings of fear and insecurity. It is those that really brought us together into a
You
positive
see,
sphere.
it's always fear and tragedy which brings us together
Yes.
in life.
You said in the book that life is not always what we think it is, and it does not always go as per plan. And but you also said that life is what we make of it, and you've given certain valuable tips to people on
Yes.
how to, like, make something of their lives, on how to help people's lives. You've given them certain reminders like limit the amount of news you watch, don't skip your workout, meditation, keeping a
Declutter.
gratitude. हाँ जी. So आप थोड़ा tell us a bit about that.
So I discovered that this pandemic also made us realize that there are very few things we need actually in life. We basically needed three things when this happened, that we wanted to be going back to close to our closer ones, to our family, to our husband, wife, children, parents, best friends. We just wanted to be close to them somehow or the other. That
Yeah.
was the first need that we felt.
Hmm.
That जैसे तैसे हम अपने घर में पहुंच जाएं, अपने नजदीक वालों के बच्चे हमारे पास जहां भी हैं आ जाएं हमारे पास, या हम अपने माँ बाप के पास चले जाएं, ये बस हम एक सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी हो जाए.
Hmm.
Number two, we discovered the only thing we need is essential commodities.
Hmm.
ट्रैक पैंट्स, टी शर्ट्स, एक
Hmm.
कुछ जोड़ी 3-4 जोड़ी कपड़े, और
Hmm.
खाने का सामान, राशन मिल जाए कहीं से, रोज हमको सब्जी मिल जाए या जो भी हम खाते हैं, और कुछ नहीं चाहिए. तीसरा, हमारा वाईफाई चलना चाहिए,
बिल्कुल.
so that we are connected to the world. When I discovered that, I went to my room, I opened my cupboards and got out all my things which I have never worn. Thousands of trousers, shirts, t-shirts, even pens, जिनकी expiry date पुरानी हो गई मगर रखी. We're all, we just
We hoard
want to
things.
hoard things.
Yes.
We hoard things because नहीं 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 नहीं, ये पड़ा रहने दीजिए. एक पुराना लिफाफा जो खुला नहीं है उसको भी रखेंगे हम,
शायद काम आ जाए.
शायद काम आ जाए. ये हमारी आदत है, और ये सब आई डोंट नो वेदर हिंदुस्तानी हो गया, बट वर्ल्ड वाइड है ये आदत है.
Hmm.
हम क्या क्या चीजें खरीदते थे. किसी ने, मुझे लगता नहीं किसी ने गुची बैग इस्तेमाल किया 10 दिन, 10 साल, 10 महीने में. कौन लेके गुची बैग बैठ के लेके ये वीडियो कॉल करेगा.
Yeah.
पागल लगेगा. या गेस के ग्लासेस पहन के आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक टू यू.
Yeah.
कौन बैठ के मैक का मेकअप लगा, नहीं मुझे, अरे मेरे को जैसे तैसे मुंह हाथ धो लूं मैं जैसे तैसे, नीचे मैंने ट्रैक पैंट पहनी, ऊपर टी शर्ट पहनी, ठीक है. We became so free of this
Yes.
nonsense obsessive things. This was the biggest uh, lesson that we learned.
Yeah.
हमने कितनी, आपका एक कोना पीछे अच्छा होना चाहिए, धीरे धीरे अब तो एस्थेटिक सेंस भी आ गई, पीछे पेंटिंग नजर आनी चाहिए, पीछे आपकी जामुनी कलर की जो है
एक
ये
प्लांट पड़ा होना चाहिए.
एक प्लांट पड़ा होना चाहिए. वो भी कितना, अब इसके पीछे ये भी फिक्र नहीं रही थोड़े दिनों बाद कि कहीं मदर इन लॉ चलती हुई ना चली जाए, या बच्चा ना आ जाए, या कुत्ता ना ढूंढता हुआ आ जाए. We became so real. We had taken away the sense of reality from our lives.
Hmm.
We were becoming caricature of our own self, and we had stopped recognizing ourselves, who we are.
Yeah.
वो सारी बाल्टियां गिरा गिरा के ना हमने पानी की, हम अंदर से साफ सुथरे निकल कर आए हैं, जो हम थे, जो हम
Mm.
हैं,
Mm.
जो हमें होना चाहिए.
But
No,
there's something very interesting which was said about you by Mahesh Bhatt.
hmm,
And बहुत ज़्यादा positivity भी शायद suit नहीं करेगी because of what he said. He
hmm,
said, and I'll read it out. He said Anupam oscillates between dread and hope,
hmm,
nervous but confident.
hmm,
That's what he is. And he said to you, to cure you is to kill you.
hmm.
Keep this angst, helplessness, unhappiness going. Stay thirsty. He said, Us din pyasa aaya tha, ab bhi pyasa hi hai, thirsty and hungry. Is that an apt description of you? And is there any fear of you losing that hunger and that thirst if you
I
get
don't have,
too positive?
I don't have fear. I have thirst. I have thirst for knowledge, thirst for my richness does not depend that I have a Mercedes car, or I don't own even an apartment in Mumbai. I live in a rented apartment.
To you.
Yes, I decided 4 5 years back that I don't want to own property. मुझे क्या करना है property लेकर? The only property that I bought in 4 years back was a house for my mother in Shimla, because one day I asked her. She, after my father passed away, she started living with us. So I used to always tease her, "Mama, आपके पास तो सब कुछ है, आपके पास अनुपम खेर है, अब आपको क्या चाहिए?"
Mm,
She surprised me by telling me that मुझे ना घर चाहिए. मैंने कहा घर तो है मेरे पास, है राजू के पास है, आपको क्या चाहिए? कहती नहीं, शिमला में.
mm,
I said, we don't live there now. She said,
mm,
no, all my life I used to live in a rented home in Shimla, and my desire and dream used to be that one day I must own a house. So I said, you will own a house in Shimla, but will you go and live there? She said,
mm,
yeah, मैं गर्मी में जाया करूंगी. So that is so. Then I told her, I said, go to Shimla. She said, but मुझे एक bedroom hall चाहिए.
mm,
So she was seeing this house in Shimla, 10 kilometers before Shimla comes, a place called Shogi, an old 100 years old house, जिसका एक bedroom hall की entrance from outside थी.
mm,
So she liked that place. So she called me up and she said, I was in Mumbai, and she said, I have found a house. ये छोटा सा है, इसकी entrance बाहर से है. So I asked the broker, I said, how many rooms are there in that whole house? He said, yeah, 9 bedrooms. So मैंने कहा, अभी माँ को गिफ्ट देना है तो मैं कुछ कुछ कमाल करता हूँ.
mm,
तो मैंने कहा, ask the owner, can he sell the whole house?
mm,
So he said, मैं पता. And I said, don't tell him it's me,
mm.
because then he may increase the
Yeah,
rate. मैंने कहा, "बड़ा अनुपम खेर का तो चलो." So he said, "Ji, okay, this is the amount he is giving." I said, buy the whole place.
yeah.
And then I told my mother, I said, do you want to see the other rooms on the phone? She said, नहीं, but मुझे क्या करना है? मुझे नहीं. मैंने कहा,
Vicky
देखो तो सही
Katraju.
जाके, मेरे पास तो एक कमरा चाहिए, मुझे तो सिंबॉलिकली चाहिए एक
Mm,
कमरा, और मैं गर्मियों में आऊंगी. When she saw the house, she said, बहुत बड़ा है, हाँ बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत बड़ा है. मैंने कहा, ये सब आपका है.
mm,
He started shouting at me. He said, तेरा दिमाग खराब है, मुझे नहीं चाहिए इतना बड़ा घर का, इसको ध्यान कौन रखेगा, etc etc. But anyway, I bought that house. So that's the only thing. So but Bhatt Sahab says, Bhatt Sahab knows me very well, and he's described me very well. But I think I have this quest for people. I'm a people's person. I am interested in now, आपके घर पे और कौन कौन है,
mm,
आप किसके साथ रहते हो? Because having talked to you for 45 minutes, I am interested in you as a person, to know about you also. So
mm,
that is the way I am. It is not sense of insecurity or fear.
mm,
Yes, I do remember the days that when I was struggling actor and I used to roam on the streets of Mumbai, and I really went through lots of uh, humiliation, undignified times, people slept on railway platforms. But I use those stories to elevate myself today and to
exactly.
inspire other people,
Yes.
that going through bad time
Mm,
is also good, because in your good times you will talk about those bad times and they will become stories of inspiration.
yeah.
So I and also I think I acknowledge my life every day. I live every single day. That's why the title of this book is Your Best Days Today.
Yes.
I live, I don't plan things.
Mm,
आई डोंट थिंक कि आज मेरे पास 1 करोड़ रुपया बैंक में, अगले साल 3 करोड़ होना चाहिए. मुझे क्या करना 3 करोड़ रुपए का? खाना तो मुझे वही है, अच्छा खाना मिल जाता है, मुझे रहने को अच्छा मिल जाता है. दिस होल desire to sort of accumulate, I'm sure people who have lots and lots of money, good luck to them, but
mm,
I am not that person.
mm.
ये कितने करोड़ों लोग, अब इस समय झोपड़पट्टी में रहने वाला इंसान भी उतना ही परेशान था जितना महल में रहने वाला परेशान था.
This
इसके
was a great leveler. Like,
एग्जैक्टली.
absolutely. It
So I
had the
think,
same problems, the same issues.
yeah, but
Same problem.
please send me that Mahesh WhatsApp thing. I liked it. I,
Yes, I will. I will.
it makes me very, very sensationally some weird, magnetic kind of a person.
No, I
Um,
like it. I like it because I really feel that, sometimes when we think, even as an author, if somebody, there are many authors and lots of them, they come for Write India, this project that we started for
yes,
aspiring
I heard
authors.
about that. Yes, I loved it.
And they come up to you and they say, I want to write a bestseller. Now, you can't write a bestseller. You can only write a book, which
It's like
may or
saying
may
I want
not
to make
become
a
a bestseller.
best-selling it's like saying I want to make a blockbuster movie.
Absolutely, yes. So when you have that hunger to make a movie, but not a blockbuster, the hunger to write a book, but not a bestseller, that's the only time that you can get that kind of success. I
Exactly.
mean, you have a hope of getting it then, but
Yes,
not if you
absolutely.
focus on that. That's what this quote of Bhatt Sahib for you, says that that
Yes,
hunger is there in you. Till today, it's so important to have that thirst, to have that hunger.
I agree. I
So
agree.
when you don't plan for the future, then possibly you have not planned another book as well.
I told you that I had not
Plan any of
planned
these either.
this book at all.
Yeah.
No, but now, because I really felt the urge to write this book, I enjoyed the process of writing it. It gave me peace in a strange manner. But now I have this really this desire to write another book. Now I want to move towards this author kind of a thing.
Yes.
In fact, I'm in Missouri and yesterday I went for a walk and I was thinking अगर मैं next किताब लिखूं तो मैं किस चीज के बारे में लिखूंगा?
बिल्कुल.
Because I can only write about what I feel,
Yes.
what I go through.
Yeah.
I will send you my autobiography. Please, I would love to know your reactions to it. That's
Yes.
also a very unusual autobiography.
Yeah.
It only talks about my failures.
Hmm.
And how I laughed at them. I look at my life from a comic point of view.
Yeah.
To me, in real life, also, every situation is comical. I
Yes.
was talking to you right now. This housekeeping person was constantly knocking from side. And from there's a window here, and then she started looking at it, and then she saw me talking to this machine called this laptop.
Yeah.
And then and you must have noticed me looking, and then she said, to me, that is the most comical
It's
situation.
funny. Yes, of
Yeah, it
course.
is
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I look at life from a
But
funny,
that
funny.
again is, I don't know whether to call it a blessing or it's something that, you have to work on in life, that you are able to see things with a quirky eye and
Yes,
able to see fun and humor in everything. That
yes.
is so important. And I think that helps you be a good human being.
You can make it easy. As I said, happiness is something you have to practice.
Mhm.
You have to practice for 3 months. Now,
Okay.
this is Anupam telling to Vinita.
Yes.
This is a guru mantra. Somebody called me Guru Kher the other day. Navika. Navika called me Guru
Yes,
Kher.
yes.
Yes. So I feel that you practice motor driving, like you practice cooking, like you practice everything, and then you become masters of that.
Hmm.
So why can't we practice happiness that for 3 months, starting from today, from the 16th of December to 16th of February or March, you will only react to situations positively and happily. चाहे आपको कुछ भी बोल दे,
Hmm.
चाहे आपके बच्चे आपको परेशान करें, आपके हाँ जी ठीक है, नहीं नहीं, you are right. Will be difficult, it will be, but
Hmm.
it will be difficult for only those 3 months.
Yes.
They will also go cuckoo because they will think what's gone wrong.
क्या हो
No?
गया?
So
Yes.
better to make them feel like that rather than come across as a cliche parent for them because they are very smart.
Hmm.
So if you practice for 3 months, kuch bhi hoga, it will be tough. It will be withdrawal symptom, not able to do that. People will, after 3 months, you will have the mastery of it. Then you will get used to it. That is what I do.
Yeah.
ऐसा नहीं कि मुझे गुस्सा नहीं आता,
I
परेशानी नहीं, एक तो मैं डिले करता हूँ अपना रिस्पॉन्स. माय
Hmm.
ग्रैंडफादर यूज्ड टू से
Yes.
डिले योर रिस्पॉन्स
Absolutely.
बाय
Very
3
wise thing.
seconds 4
Yeah.
seconds. It really helps.
Hmm.
तो I was very fortunate to be living with my grandparents. क्या क्या चीजें सिखाई हैं उन्होंने.
Hmm.
And I was a struggling actor and I was going through horrible times, especially when I was sleeping on the platform. I wrote to my grandfather. I said, I don't want, I'm a gold medalist from drama school. I don't want to live in Mumbai. I want to go back in Lucknow and Shimla and just teach somewhere. So he wrote a brilliant letter to me and he said, listen to me. You have lived now in Mumbai for 1.5 years. Your parents have really gone out of their way to give you education. You're a gold medalist. You must have made some relationship. Stay back and remember, भीगा हुआ आदमी बारिश से नहीं डरता.
How nice.
कमाल की बात है. अब ये दैट बुक जो आपने दूसरी बुक दिखाई, दैट्स डेडिकेटेड टू हिम. वो लाइन उसमें लिखी हुई.
Hmm.
अब जब भी मुझे कुछ ऐसी प्रॉब्लम होती है, मैं मन में सोचता हूँ दादाजी ने कहा था भीगा हुआ आदमी बारिश से नहीं डरता।
Mm,
मैं तो भीगा हुआ आदमी, मुझे क्या डराएगा।
yeah.
उम्र भर अपने ही गिरे बांह से उलझने वाले, बड़ी बड़ी अच्छी लाइन है कि उम्र भर अपने ही गिरे बांह से उलझने वाले, तू मुझे मेरे ही साय से डराता क्या है।
बहुत खूब. Beautiful.
या,
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's hope that in our next Times Literature Festival, we
या,
can invite you with your next book, maybe on happiness, maybe
yes,
on whatever topic that you want to write about.
I think that's a great idea to write about happiness.
Yes. So we look forward to that.
I will acknowledge it that it was given to me by two things. One is that पूरा नाम क्यों लेते हैं स्कूल के बच्चों का, and the
Yeah,
other thing is that my book
for
about
happiness.
happiness was a part of this conversation that we had.
This
And
has been a wonderful interaction, and I've really enjoyed it.
thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you for listening to me so brilliantly and so compassionately.
It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure. Thank you so much, Anupam.
Stay safe. Take care. All the best.